It is time for another video in which I ask my dad seemingly random questions. You never know. Could be a 90-second video, could be a 10-minute video. We don't know what's going to happen. But I want to go back to the late 1980s. This story takes place circa 1987. And I remember hearing Jimmy Buffett's song Margaritaville come on the radio. And we were at the kitchen table at our old little house. And we were like eating breakfast. And I said, "Daddy, why don't you become a country singer?" And then you said, "Well, here's what I sound like singing." And you sang something. It may have been some kind of country song, like it may have been even George Strait, like some kind of country song that was popular at the time. And then and whatever you sang, I was like, "Oh." Like as a young child, I was like, "Oh." And then you explained to me not everybody can sing. And then what's funny though is like during high school, there was so many songs I hadn't heard yet. I didn't know existed, like especially if they're older. And so like Creedence Clearwater, "Have you ever seen the rain?" What's funny, I probably just got this video demonetized because of that. They have this computer software that they can recognize any line of a song, even if you sing like that, and I'll get a red little emblem meaning that's demonetized. It'll be a test, we'll see. Because I was able to get away with on my other channel, I made a video saying something about, do I have bubba lips? Which I guess is offensive to some people, but it means that for white people, we have big lips. I guess is what it means. And they didn't demonetize that. But somebody said that you have big lips, I have big lips, my mother has big lips, and that's unusual for people who are not actually of African descent. And I got away with monetizing that one. But from that little thing, Creedence Clearwater Revival. But anyway, the point was, you were if it was raining, you would like kind of sing that. And then like years later, we were at the grocery store, and the song came on the radio. We finally heard it for the first time, and my sister's like, "That's a real song?" So it was funny because it's like we had to learn your version of the song. We remember the words, but not how it actually sounded. So
the actual tune of it.
Yeah. But unlike me, who grew up like singing in church and like playing guitar and doing all this stuff and musicals, you didn't have that. You didn't sing. Like you didn't sing.
No, I never. I didn't even want to hear myself sing most of the time. So. But
see, I think it's interesting because right before this video, we were talking about the MG, and if you want to see more videos about the MG in the process, just look on the channel. Type in 1980 MG. Is that the name of MGB or something? MGB. Yeah. You can look that up and you can see the process of my dad restoring this MG. But I looked down at it and I said, "Oh, that's funny. It's got a cassette tape player." I mean, naturally, it's from 1980. And but you were like, "Well, I don't really listen to music anyway," which is weird for me because it's true that you don't listen to music. Like, you just don't listen to music.
Not much at all. No, I mean, the element, the antenna was broken off.
Oh yeah.
There's no radio. It don't matter.
That is so weird because like you've never, and even when you had the radio, it'd be like the talk radio.
Usually it's some kind of talk radio.
And like for me, this past week at our church, I don't know if you heard about this, but like they were doing this fast for like Monday through Friday, and each day praying about a different thing. But like my wife drives an hour just to get to work and an hour back on a good day. For me, it's 45 minutes back. So we're driving, I got kids in the car, I'm working all day. And I was like, I've never fasted that long. I don't know that's a good idea to be driving around and have responsibilities, not eating for 5 days. So we decided, okay, we're gonna fast from listening to music in the car. We won't have the radio on. And it like almost put me in a depressed state because like I'm so used to hearing music, but that's all is just not listening to it.
Yeah, well, like if I'm on a long trip, usually by myself, like I would like to listen to Creedence Clearwater Revival.
But it's not like you proactively have a CD of them. You wouldn't have a way to listen to it.
No. Only in my truck I would, but anything else I don't. And then, like I said, it'd be a trip by myself that I would listen to it. But
even then, you just turn on the radio to the classic station, though, right? Because you don't own any music. really.
I did. I do have like maybe 3 CDs, like Clean Up the Clearwater Revival, I think America, and maybe some Leonard Skinner. Occasionally I will listen to that, but not much.
But, we made the other video about how we don't care about sports and we don't have any desire to have pets. This is when I didn't adopt it from you. I'm the opposite when it comes to music because, well, let me ask you this. Were you ever in a play? I mean, other than after I was born and was in plays, because I was in plays constantly in musicals, but.
No, never.
Yeah. And then for me, when I was in 3rd grade, which my son is now in 3rd grade, that was the first time I was like, hey, we need a boy to play this part in a play. You barely have to say anything. And then after I did that, then the next time, hey, well, you did that one. Now you can do this one. It's got a little bit more. You can do it. And then, hey, this one's got singing in it. So and then I would learn to play guitar. I'm singing. I'm writing songs. I'm doing talent shows. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing my own demo CDs in college. All this stuff. And even on my own video channel here, there's some of my earlier videos. You see songs that I wrote and recorded for videos that I made. Type in Jackman, and you'll see an idea of that if you're interested. But you're not, so I was always just really into music and obsessed with music. And of course I was in high school during the grunge era, great time to be music. But for you, it's like you've named these bands that were popular in the late 70s. Mm-hmm. But after the late 70s, you didn't.
No, I didn't. No, after that music was over, I was pretty much done with it.
Yeah, and even those groups, they were like kind of had a southern country rock sound.
Yeah.
But like the Beatles, like you grew up during the perfect time to care about the Beatles. Didn't care about the Beatles.
No, not really.
And then you also were the perfect time to care about Led Zeppelin. Didn't care about them either.
No, never had a Led Zeppelin album of any type.
And I've just now got into that territory, and now I'm like, I fully appreciate it because it's interesting. The Beatles owned the 1960s, and then the moment they broke up, then that's when Led Zeppelin kicked into gear, and then they broke up in 1980 when the drummer died, and it's like, and I'm trying to think, well, what's the next decade of who owned that? I'd almost argue that REM owned the next decade of the 80s as far as reinventing what rock music meant because they paved the way for alternative in the 90s. But that's all lost on you. Like, you just...
It's there, but I don't care about it. If it's there, I'll listen to it. If it's not, I'm not going to go on my way to try to listen to it. Just no. Just not a big music fan either, I guess.
But see, that's weird though, because what most people is like, hey, I don't like rap music or I don't like country music. But it's strange that anyone would say, I just don't listen to music.
Yeah, no. Like I have a radio here in the shop, and it's like I try to listen to it, but you end up hearing the same songs over and the same commercials on the radio, and it's like, okay, I'm tired of hearing that. I'll shut it off. And now, all this time I've been working on MG, I don't even turn it on anymore. I just rather work in the silence.
So that doesn't, well, you wouldn't know any different as far as you not feeling less connected to the human experience from that. Like, because for me, like, it was almost like, and I'm making videos about this in my own series about existential crisis, but it almost just reinforced that for me when I had no music to listen to for, ultimately in a week's time, that was probably closer to 12 hours of my life that I had no music. And when I'm driving to work, like, it's important to me what I'm playing, that whatever state of mind, I match it to the music. And like that kind of reinforces my state of being. Almost like coffee does. You don't regularly drink coffee, or you do?
I'll drink like 1 cup in the morning. That's it. Just
yeah.
one.
For me, it's usually 1 or 2, but like every day, coffee's part of my routine to do that. It's part of what makes me feel alive. Is being able to have the decision of what kind of music I'm going to listen to and how that's a reflection of how I feel that day or what I'm going through in that moment. But for you, your scope of music goes basically to 3 bands, which Leonard Skinner, I think they're from Florida or Georgia or something.
Florida, yeah.
And then you've mentioned the Allman Brothers before. I think they're from North Carolina or something.
Yeah.
And what was the other one you mentioned?
America.
Oh, America, which they, I think, weren't. It was some kind of weird thing, like they were actually from Canada or something, or
I think
it was some kind of weird thing that like
yeah.
half of them, 2 of them were from the United States, and then 2 of them were actually in England, but they were military brats or whatever, and they formed the band in England, I believe, and then but they made it popular in the United States.
Oh,
So they called themselves America because they were Americans, even though half of them weren't even in. Yeah, look it up. It's something like that.
Never knew the history of them.
Yeah, it was something like that. And then, of course, Creedence Clearwater Revival is so funny because they're from near where my wife is from in Northern California, but you think they're from Louisiana,
Yeah.
and they made you think that because they had songs about the bayou, and their sound was so Southern.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there were other country music legendary, like Merle Haggard's from California. Like, that's hard to imagine.
I always thought he was from Muskogee.
Yeah, like true, like deep South. No, California is where he's from. So, all right, there's a video about music and how it is ultimately a reflection of who we are, and how my dad, in my opinion, has less of the human experience because just how can you not listen to music?
Now, I'll admit, as a teenager, young teenager, I did. I had the 8 tracks. But I remember at one point, I just said, I'm tired of all of this. And I gave all the 8 tracks to my brother. It didn't matter anymore.
So if anybody can relate to that or anything we've said in this 11-minute video, you know where it belongs, and that is right here.